When a rich, powerful young man's car broke down in the middle of the road, a homeless girl stepped up and did something no one expected, and that small kindness turned their lives around. How can kindness bring two people from different worlds together? Watch till the end to find out. The rain poured over Accra like a broken dam, slapping against rusted roofs, flooding street gutters, and chasing the last vendors from the night market. Beneath a faded green kiosk near the Trotro station, Amira, 22, curled her knees into her chest, shivering. Her hoodie was soaked, her sandals torn, and her stomach ached from hunger. But she didn't cry. She hadn't cried in weeks. Crying wasted energy she needed to survive. 2 years ago, she was the best engineering student in her class. Today, she was another face on the street, dismissed by those who barely looked. Across town, Jason Adeyemi, 30, was running late. His navy blue Mercedes Maybach glided through the wet streets, his fingers tapping impatiently on the steering wheel. He wore a crisp charcoal suit, designer watch flashing beneath the streetlights. He was powerful. He was feared. And tonight, he had an important dinner with a foreign investor who could fund his next expansion into East Africa. Just as he crossed the Kanishi flyover, the engine sputtered. "What the hell?" he muttered, steering to the side. The car hissed. Steam rose from the hood. He popped it open and was met with a blast of hot vapor. Rain drenched his suit as he leaned over the engine, swearing. Why tonight, of all nights? Taxis passed. People stared but kept walking. No one offered help. Who would help a rich man with car problems? Then a voice spoke from behind him. "You're going to flood the ignition if you keep touching that wire." Jason turned sharply. A girl stood there, soaked to the skin, her hoodie clinging to her small frame. Her face was sharp, her eyes wide, and behind her fatigue was something. Intelligence. Grit. "And you are?" he asked, half amused, half annoyed. "Someone who knows engines," she replied. "I used to fix Trotro vans with my uncle. You've got a broken ignition coil wire. I can rig it for now, just to get it started." Jason narrowed his eyes. "Seriously? You think I'm going to let some street girl poke around in a million Sadie car?" She gave a small shrug. "Suit yourself." She turned and walked off. He watched her for a moment, limping slightly, clearly freezing, and then sighed. "Wait." She returned without a word. From her pocket, she pulled out a soda can tab and reached for a rubber band on her wrist. "You do know what you're doing, right?" Jason asked. "Do you want your car to start or not?" In less than 2 minutes, she had opened a panel, clipped a temporary bridge across the wire, and signaled him to try. Jason climbed in. The engine growled. Then, purred. He stepped out, stunned. "You actually, how did you?" "Just pay attention next time your engine light comes on," she said. "That car talks to you. You just don't listen." Jason laughed. Really laughed, for the first time in days. "Wait. What's your name?" But she was already backing away. "Doesn't matter. You're welcome." He stepped forward. "Hey, wait, let me at least pay you or give you a ride." "No need," she said softly. "Just don't forget I helped you." Then she turned and disappeared into the storm, blending back into the world that ignored her. Jason stood in the rain, engine running, heart strangely stirred. Something about that girl, her confidence, her strength. She had no idea she just fixed more than his car. That night, long after his meeting was cancelled, and he dried off and changed, he couldn't stop thinking about the girl in the rain. Jason Adeyemi sat by his expansive office window the next morning, untouched espresso going cold beside him. The Accra skyline stretched before him, but all he could see was her, the girl in the rain. That flash of brilliance. That pride. The way she fixed his car without asking for anything. It had rattled something in him. "Sir," said his assistant, Gideon, stepping in. "We've rescheduled your meeting with Mr. Chen for next week. Also, the mechanic from Ridge Auto is here for the Mercedes." Jason didn't respond. His eyes were distant. "Sir." Jason finally turned. "Forget Ridge Auto. That girl fixed the car with a soda tab and a rubber band. She was brilliant." Gideon frowned. "Girl?" "A homeless girl. Early 20s. Smart. Confident. I want to find her." Gideon raised a brow. "You want to find a street girl?" Jason looked up sharply. Yes. Problem? No, sir. Just, not our usual recruitment strategy. Jason leaned back in his chair. She could be a genius, Gideon. Or something close. And we're building a future in tech, not just with degrees, but with raw talent. If she can fix a Maybach in the rain without tools, she's someone I want on my team. Gideon tried to hide his smirk but nodded. Very well. I'll get the surveillance team on it. Meanwhile, Amira was back at her usual spot behind the mechanic yard near Makola Market. The damp pavement was unforgiving, but she was used to it. She sorted scrap wires and stripped copper from discarded electronics, anything she could sell for a few sadies. Every so often, she'd glance at the road. She didn't expect him to come back. But part of her hoped. Foolish, she told herself. For 3 days, Jason's security team combed through street CCTV footage. They caught a glimpse, a blurry shot of her walking toward the market in the rain, hoodie up, sandals dragging. They tracked her movements, frame by frame. We have her, said one of the techs. Makola. Near the mechanics' quarter. Jason didn't hesitate. He grabbed his coat. Back near the market, Amira was arguing with a scrap dealer over a few coils when a sleek black Range Rover slowed beside her. The door opened. She froze. Jason stepped out, holding an umbrella. People stared, a billionaire stepping into their world? Amira, he said, remembering the name from a sticker on one of her scrap boxes. That's your name, right? She blinked. How do you? You fixed my car. Remember? So you found me. Her voice was flat, guarded. Yes. And I'm here to say thank you, properly this time. I don't need charity, she said sharply. This isn't charity, Jason replied. It's an opportunity. She raised an eyebrow. I run a tech company. We build everything from smart cars to AI diagnostics. I have garages, labs, equipment. I want to offer you a job, part-time, paid, no contracts or conditions. Just a chance to show what you can do. Why? She asked, her voice low. Jason hesitated, then spoke honestly. Because no one else would have stopped that night. And you didn't just stop, you saved me. You had nothing, but you gave something. That means more than you know. She stared at him for a long time. Then, slowly, she nodded. Okay. I'll come. But just to try. Deal, he said with a smile. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. My driver will pick you up. You'll have a uniform, tools, and lunch. And one more thing. He pulled a wrapped sandwich and a bottle of juice from the car. Eat. That's not an offer. It's an order. Amira took it slowly. Her hands trembled, from hunger or disbelief, she wasn't sure. As the car drove away, other homeless girls whispered in awe. But Amira just stared at the sandwich in her hands, a lump rising in her throat. Maybe, just maybe, her story wasn't over yet. The following morning, Amira stood in front of a tall glass building in East Legon, her eyes wide. Jason's company, AD Tech, loomed like something from a futuristic movie. Sleek metal, polished floors, people in suits gliding through automatic doors. It felt like a different planet. She checked her reflection in the tinted glass. Her hair was neatly tied back, her face scrubbed clean, and she wore the navy blue overalls the driver had handed her, along with clean sneakers and a fresh pair of socks. For the first time in over a year, she didn't smell like dust and oil. Still, her heart pounded as she stepped inside. Jason was already in the garage lab when she arrived, surrounded by smart tools, engine diagnostics, and junior engineers. He turned, his face lighting up. Right on time, he said. I figured I shouldn't be late on day one, she replied, eyes scanning the high-tech workshop. You'll be working with our repair and prototype team. Nothing too heavy for now, just observe, learn, and when you're ready, show them what you can do. What if I'm not ready? She asked quietly. He looked her in the eye. Amira, you've already proven you are. She gave a faint smile and nodded. Within an hour, she had stunned the crew. While the others struggled with a faulty sensor interface, Amira diagnosed the glitch with a screwdriver, a pair of tweezers, and a bit of wire. Then she reprogrammed the control panel using old code she remembered from her university days, code she hadn't touched in 2 years. The supervisor blinked. Where did you learn that? He asked. Self-study. And my mom used to teach physics, Amira replied, eyes down. She just made your senior techs look like interns, someone whispered. Word traveled fast. By noon, Jason had gotten 3 calls about the mystery girl in overalls. One from HR, one from the CTO, and one from Vanessa. Vanessa Mensah, 33, strolled into Jason's office in red heels and a white pantsuit, holding a cup of green juice and wearing a perfect smile. She was a fashion icon, the daughter of a former ambassador, and Jason's longtime fiancé. So, you found a new pet project? She asked sweetly. Jason looked up from his desk. Her name is Amira. She's brilliant. Brilliant? Jason, she was homeless. So? Brilliance doesn't depend on real estate. Vanessa sat on the edge of his desk, crossing her legs. You know what people are already saying? That you're obsessed. That you're grooming some garage girl with big eyes and sob stories. You can't just pluck someone off the street and expect. Vanessa, he interrupted, his tone firm. Amira is more than you think. And I don't care what people are saying. She stiffened. Are you even listening to yourself? Do you know what this does to your image? Your board? Your investors? Jason stood. I'm not dating her. I'm offering her a chance. Something the world never gave her. Vanessa's voice dropped. Is that all it is? Jason didn't answer. And that silence said too much. Later that day, Amira was in the lunchroom, holding a tray and looking for a place to sit. Whispers followed her, quiet giggles, side glances. That's her, someone muttered. Jason's girl. She quietly sat alone by the window. But after a moment, Jason came in. He grabbed his own tray and walked straight to her table, ignoring the gasps around them. You don't have to eat alone, he said. I don't mind, she murmured. Well, I do. They ate together, rice, chicken, and kontamaya stew, and for the first time in years, Amira laughed. Jason asked her about circuits. She asked him about startups. There was an ease between them neither expected. You're different, she said quietly. So are you, he replied. But that evening, just as she was preparing to leave, she got a call from an old neighbor, one she hadn't heard from in months. Amira. I'm so sorry. Your stepfather just sold your mother's land. The papers went through yesterday. It's gone. Amira dropped to her knees beside a workstation, the phone still in her hand. It was the last thing her mother left her. Her only anchor. Gone. Jason found her moments later, curled up in the corner, her overalls stained with grease and silent tears. What happened? He asked gently. She couldn't speak. She just shook her head. Jason knelt beside her and placed a hand on her shoulder. Tell me who hurt you. Her voice cracked. Everyone always takes from me, Jason. I get one thing, one tiny piece of hope, and they rip it away. He looked at her, really looked, and in that moment, something shifted. They won't take anything else, he said. Not while I'm here. Amira stood in front of the security desk at AD Tech the next morning, ID badge in hand, still shaken from the news about her mother's land. She hadn't slept much. The ache of loss gnawed at her, but she pushed it down. She had work. She had somewhere to be. That was more than she'd had in years. Welcome back, Miss Amira, the security guard said with a warm smile. You're trending in the company group chat, by the way. What? She blinked. Don't worry, in a good way. Word is you fixed a multi-million Sadie sensor board with scrap wire. Amira chuckled softly. But inside, she felt the growing weight of being noticed. Upstairs in the sleek executive wing, Vanessa stood by Jason's glass wall, watching Amira through the security feed. She's wearing grease on her overalls like it's a Gucci logo, she muttered. Beside her, Neil Lamptey, the head of corporate strategy, and Jason's longtime rival within the company, sipped his coffee. You don't like her? Nee asked. She doesn't belong here, Vanessa replied, sharp. And she's already too close to Jason. Then, shall we remind everyone where she came from? They exchanged a look. I just need your silence, Nee said. And I need her gone, Vanessa whispered. A handshake sealed the deal. By mid-morning, Amira was deep in a prototype build, crafting a lightweight sensor module from spare parts. She worked silently, completely immersed. Jason watched her from the observation deck, pride glinting in his eyes. He turned to Gideon. She's doing better than the top interns. I'm thinking of giving her a mentorship slot. Sir, Gideon hesitated. Some people are already talking. Let them talk, Jason replied. But trouble was already brewing. The sabotage was subtle. A missing component here. A corrupted line of code there. Then came the email, an anonymous tip to HR. The new girl Amira was seen stealing parts from the lab. Check camera 4B on yesterday's feed. She's not who she says she is. The footage was real, but edited. In the video, Amira appears to be slipping a sensor chip into her pocket. What it doesn't show is that she had been returning the chip after testing it off-site with permission from her supervisor. By lunch, gossip had spread like wildfire. Did you hear? She was homeless. She probably came here to steal. Jason's protecting her. But for how long? Amira noticed the shift immediately. No one smiled at her anymore. The lunch table was empty. Her access card glitched at every door. When she entered the lab, her workstation had been stripped. You've been suspended, said Mr. Queasy, the HR manager. Until the investigation is complete. Suspended? Amira's voice cracked. I didn't do anything. There's security footage. Just go home. We'll call you. Home. She didn't even have one. Outside, rain started again. Amira stood in front of the building, arms wrapped around herself. It felt like the night she met him all over again, cold, invisible, discarded. But this time, it hurt more. Jason found her an hour later. She hadn't left. Why didn't you call me? He asked, furious. Why didn't anyone tell me she was suspended? Because it's under investigation, Gideon replied. They said you'd be too emotional too. Too emotional? Jason snapped. She saved my life and half your systems. He walked straight to her. Tell me the truth, he said softly. Did you take it? Amira's eyes filled with tears. I would never steal, Jason. He searched her face, the honesty, the hurt. And for the first time in a long time, Jason didn't care about corporate protocol or what the board might say. He believed her. Come with me. Jason brought her to his home, a secluded estate on the hills above Accra. Amira looked around, stunned. The marble floors. The glass staircase. The paintings. It was a world so far from her own. You'll stay here until this is sorted out, he said. You need rest, food, and safety. I'll clear your name. Jason, she whispered. You don't owe me this. Maybe not, he said, but I want to. She stared at him. The air between them shifted again, heavier this time. Not just gratitude. Not just respect. But something unspoken. Dangerous. Real. That night, Vanessa barged into Jason's house unannounced. She's living here now, she hissed. You brought her into your home? She has no one, Jason said calmly. And I trust her. You're throwing away everything we built for some garage girl with big eyes and a tragic backstory? Maybe because she's the only real thing I've had in years, Jason said quietly. Vanessa's breath caught. You'll regret this, she said. Maybe, he replied. But not today. Later, Amira sat on the guest bed, curled under a warm blanket, staring at the window as the city lights twinkled below. For the first time in years, she felt safe. But in the shadows of power and pride, someone had declared war. And Amira had no idea the worst was yet to come. The grand auditorium of AD Tech was filled to capacity. Employees packed into every row, murmuring, buzzing, waiting. This was the first company-wide town hall since the storm of rumors, and no one knew what Jason would say. A spotlight cut through the darkness. Jason Adeyemi, suited in navy blue, stepped onto the stage. But there was no smugness in his stride. No arrogance. Only gravity. He looked out across the sea of faces, people he had hired, inspired, mentored. People who had whispered behind his back these past few days. And then, he spoke. I owe all of you an apology, he began. Not because I believed in someone you didn't understand, but because I let fear stop me from standing up for her sooner. A hush swept the room. Amira Mensah was wrongly accused. Not only did she not steal from this company, she has saved it. Twice. He took a breath. She's the mind behind the redesigned microsensor that secured our contract with GreenGrid Africa. She is the reason our lab's prototype survived sabotage. And more than that, she is the reason I remembered what this company was supposed to stand for: innovation, integrity, and inclusion." He paused. "So today, I'm doing what I should have done from the beginning." He turned to the side. From the wing, Amira stepped onto the stage. Her curly hair framed her face, and though her hands trembled, she lifted her chin. Jason handed her a folder. "Amira Mensah is officially reinstated," he declared. "And more than that, she is being promoted to lead junior developer, effective immediately." Applause exploded. But he wasn't finished. "And, because I believe in her future even more than her present, Amira will also receive a full academic sponsorship from AD Tech to complete her engineering degree at any university of her choice, worldwide." Gasps. Cheers. Applause again. Amira covered her mouth in disbelief. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not because of the title or the scholarship, but because someone had finally seen her, believed in her, in public. That evening, after everything had quieted, Jason called. "Dinner?" he asked softly. Amira hesitated. She stood by her tiny apartment window, looking out at the street below. Her suitcase was still half-packed. She hadn't even unpacked since the storm. "You don't have to say yes," Jason added quickly. "This isn't a reward. I just want to know the girl behind the courage." She smiled. "Okay," she whispered. Dinner was at a small Ghanaian restaurant in Labone, not a five-star rooftop or a private chef's estate. Just two people at a table in the corner, far from cameras, in a quiet place where stories could finally be told. Jason leaned in. "Tell me everything." And so she did. She told him about her mother, how her illness had drained every sadie they had. How she dropped out of school to care for her. How, after her mother died, the family house was seized. How she'd ended up sleeping in a kiosk in Kanishi. "I hated myself for not being strong enough," she whispered. "I had dreams, Jason. I was going to build something that mattered." "You still will," he said gently. She looked at him, eyes shining. "You don't know how hard it is to be invisible in your own city." He reached across the table. "I do." Then he told his story, how after his parents died in a car crash in Lagos, he was 17, penniless, and alone. How he slept in mosques and did odd jobs just to eat. How one act of kindness, a mechanic who gave him shelter and taught him electronics, changed his entire life. "Everything I have started with a screwdriver and a folding chair," Jason said. "I built this company remembering how cold it felt to be unwanted." Amira sat in stunned silence. "I thought you were born with it all." "Most people do." There was a long pause. Two broken hearts. Two survival stories. One table. "So," Jason smiled, "we're not that different after all." "Except you're the billionaire," she laughed. "And you're the woman who reminded me how to be human again." Their eyes locked. This time, no sabotage. No lies. No rumors. Just a spark, real and undeniable. Later, as they walked to the car under the soft glow of the street lamps, Jason took her hand. "This isn't a fairy tale," he said quietly. "I know that. But if we write the rest together, maybe it could be something better." Amira smiled. "Let's find out." The world didn't cheer when they went public. In fact, it roared, with doubt, mockery, and noise. Photos of Jason and Amira holding hands went viral overnight. Her image, once unknown, now plastered across tabloids and tech blogs. From streets to sheets? Billionaire dates former homeless girl. AD Tech CEO risks it all for love. Beauty or pity? The truth about Jason's girlfriend. Investors grew nervous. Stock tickers wobbled. Some board members began whispering about Jason's judgment, questioning if the company's future was now too closely tied to his personal life. Even close friends started avoiding him. Amira felt the weight of it first. Walking into meetings, she could feel the stares, the subtle change in how people addressed her. Is she really qualified? He's just protecting her job. How long until she's gone? She tried to drown it out. Focused on her work. Ignored the headlines. But the noise was louder than ever. She asked Jason one evening, as they watched the sunset over the company's rooftop garden. "Do you regret it?" He turned to her without hesitation. "Regret choosing you? Amira, You're the only thing in my life I'm absolutely certain about. She wanted to believe it. She just didn't know if the world would ever stop punishing her for being loved. Then came the Tech World Summit. A gathering of Africa's brightest innovators, visionaries, and CEOs. Jason was set to deliver the keynote speech. The pressure was enormous, a chance to reclaim investor confidence, reshape public narrative, or lose everything. Thousands filled the auditorium. Millions streamed online. Jason stepped on stage in a charcoal gray suit. But this time, he wasn't alone. Amira stood beside him. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Jason raised the mic. 6 months ago, a girl with grease on her hands and rain in her eyes helped me fix my broken-down car, he began. That day, I thought I was rescuing her. The truth is, she rescued me. The room went silent. Her name is Amira Mensah. She is brilliant, brave, and the reason you're all still using AD Tech products today. People shifted in their seats. But this isn't just about her. It's about how many Amiras we walk past every single day. Talented. Invisible. Waiting for a chance. He turned toward the massive screen behind him. The logo flickered on. Street to Silicon, AD Tech Foundation for Youth in Transition. Today, we launched the Street to Silicon Foundation, a full-scale initiative to find, train, and empower homeless youth across Africa in engineering, coding, and design. Every one of them deserves a chance, just like Amira. The crowd erupted. Standing ovation. People cheered. Some cried. And for the first time, Amira didn't feel like an outsider. She felt seen, not just as Jason's girlfriend, but as the force that inspired change. Months passed. The foundation opened its first training center in Accra. Hundreds applied. Amira gave the opening speech. A girl who once had nothing, now lighting a path for others. She and Jason continued building the company, the foundation, and something else neither of them had words for. Love. One quiet evening, after a long day of mentoring and coding, Jason asked her to walk with him in the private garden behind the AD Tech campus. Fireflies danced in the air. The breeze carried the scent of jasmine. They reached the bench where they'd first talked late into the night. Amira turned to sit. But Jason dropped to one knee. Her breath caught. You gave me more than help that day in the rain, he said. You gave me honesty when the world only saw status. You gave me your strength when I had none left. And you gave me a reason to believe in forever again. He opened a small velvet box. Will you marry me, Amira? Tears streamed down her face. She nodded. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, simple, elegant, gold, and pulled her into his arms. There were no flashing cameras. No headlines. Just two hearts, once broken, now whole. She had once fixed his car. But in truth, she had healed something deeper. And he had done something rare in return. He gave her the one thing she thought she'd lost forever, a future. Together, they turned pain into purpose. Together, they built something stronger than dreams. Together, they rose.